in the last quarter.
OK, well, the former leader of the SNP and First Minister of Scotland is back, and he's celebrating what he claims are victories over the far right. So who are this mystical far right, and what does Humza Yousaf want the left to keep on doing? I'll be digesting that video line by line. Also on the show,
international humanitarian law prohibits the starvation of civilians as a method of warfare. Does the Minister agree that, and share my view, that this is totally inexcusable and that Israel must stop using starvation as a weapon of war?
Israel has deported 2 pro-Palestine Labour MPs after accusing them of plotting to document activities of security forces. Was Israel right to do this? We're going to be having a fiery head-to-head debate to get to the bottom of it. Also, a GBNews exclusive has revealed dozens of skilled worker visas are being granted by the Home Office. That's despite them failing to meet legal requirements. What does this tell you about the state of our border security and the running of our Home Office? And
once yourself in this position, don't hang about.
Yes, as crime against women is on the rise across the country, many people are taking self-defence into their own hands. Well, I've invited Essex's toughest woman to come into the studio and show off some moves to help you all stay safe on the streets. And joining me this evening on my all-star panel, GBNews contributor Will Kingston, political commentator Chloe Dobbs and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Yeah, and what do you think is going on here? Yep, a huge 2 hours coming up, but first, let's get your news with the brilliant Aaron Armstrong.
Thank you very much. Alex, good evening to you. Just after 9 o'clock, our top stories. The Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch is facing cross-party criticism for saying she's not surprised by Israel's decision to deport 2 Labour MPs. Abdissam Mohammed, who represents Sheffield Central, and Yuan Yang, the MP for Early and Woodley, were deported after being accused of planning to spread anti-Israel hatred. Whereas Badenoch says Israel has a right to control its borders, adding she thinks it's shocking Labour has MPs that other countries don't want to allow in. Well, the Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, has responded. He says her comments were disgraceful. The leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey, says Ms Badenoch has shown unbelievably poor judgment. Well, Lammy has also described Israel's decision as unacceptable. In a joint statement, Ms Yang and Ms Mohammed have said they were astounded at the unprecedented step taken by the Israeli authorities. Sir Keir Starmer has reiterated his disappointment over Donald Trump's new tariffs in further calls with world leaders. The Prime Minister has this evening spoken with his Canadian counterpart Mark Carney. Downing Street says they discussed working together to maintain global economic stability in the wake of Donald Trump's tariffs, and they agreed on the importance of free and open trade between like-minded nations. These pictures of when the pair met last month. Well, earlier, the Prime Minister spoke to the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz as countries around the world consider how they will respond to the new economic environment. Downing Street says they all agreed that, as with defence and security, it is a new era for the global economy. A father and his 10-year-old daughter have been named as the 2 victims of a fire at a caravan site near Skegness. 48-year-old Lee Baker and his 10-year-old daughter Esme from the Nottingham area died after a fire broke out at Golden Beach Holiday Park in Ingomells in the early hours of Saturday morning. And the family say they are utterly devastated. Marine Le Pen's told a rally of her supporters in Paris her criminal conviction for embezzlement was a political decision rather than a legal one. The leader of the right-wing National Rally has been barred from running for office for the next 5 years. It's ruled her out of a presidential election she was tipped to win in 2027. Well, she was convicted last week of siphoning off EU Parliament funds to pay her party. Centre and left-wing groups held counter-protests in Paris. Now, they were demonstrating not only against Ms Le Pen, but also in support of the law being enforced, in support of the judges who made the decision, who have since been subjected to death threats and now require police protection. And a rugby match in France was delayed when a parachutist got caught on the roof of the stadium earlier. It happened ahead of the Champions Cup game between Toulouse and Sale. The parachutist was left dangling for almost half an hour as fans were cleared from the area and workers placed a protective inflatable decoration beneath him. Firefighters eventually made their way up on a mechanised ladder to collect the man in a basket he had been due to deliver the match ball. Toulouse ended up winning the match 38-15. That's it from me. More to come as we go through the evening here on GB News.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. Well, just when you thought Humza Yousaf, the former First Minister of Scotland and ex-SNP leader, had vanished, well, he's back with a new video. Let's break it down, shall we?
The far right are losing. Don't get me wrong, they're far from out. But this week has proven that we can defeat the far right and hit them where it hurts.
OK, well, who are these far-right people exactly? Neo-Nazis? People using violence, vandalism, causing public disturbance?
Elon Musk has hinted he will leave as a Trump advisor next month.
Oh, right, yes. You mean Elon Musk, a billionaire who's built businesses, created thousands of jobs, aims for Mars, and just happens to share his political opinions publicly. Got it.
Of course, he says it was all part of his grand plan and has nothing to do with the 36% drop in Tesla shares in the last quarter.
Well, I hate to ruin the narrative, but Musk was only eligible to work for the US government for under 130 days legally. The Department of Government Efficiency was always meant to be temporary. A quick bit of research doesn't hurt.
The fact that Tesla has had some $460 billion erased from its market value in the last quarter shows that if we can mobilise, we will hit the far right and those who finance them hard in their pockets.
Yes. Financial ruin for our enemies, eh? Totally democratic, isn't it? Meanwhile, regular people lose their savings. Pensions get wiped, jobs vanish. I'm not sure that's worth celebrating.
Who would have thought that if you wield the chainsaw of bureaucracy like a madman and fire people from their jobs without due process, the people might just turn against you?
Yes, 20 million for Iraqi Sesame Street, 59 million for luxury migrant hotels in New York City, 1.5 million for Egyptian tourism, 3.5 million to count fish eggs. The Department of Government Efficiency says it saved US taxpayers $150 billion so far.
It's not just Elon Musk. Let's look at the bigger picture. This week, we also learned the leader of France's far-right, Marine Le Pen, won't be eligible to stand in the next French presidential elections, having been found guilty of embezzling EU funds.
Yeah, so we must jail our opponents. Just as they're on track to win the French presidency, lock them up. Well, he seems to be suggesting that if you can't beat them at the ballot box, imprison them instead.
Far-right's rhetoric might be loud, but our resistance is louder.
Yes. The far-left resistance certainly is loud, isn't it? Chants of jihad on the streets of London, mass vandalism of innocent owners of Tesla vehicles around the world, the blocking of ambulances on the roads. Just a couple of examples there.
Keep pushing back, keep showing up, keep resisting, and we will.
All right. let me be clear. The far left will never win. Using lies to deceive and manipulate the public will always be exposed by the free press. Acts of vandalism and violence will always be categorically rejected. The public will not be forced into submission despite how much they seem to try to lock up their opponents or financially ruin others following their far left handbook. Just as the former First Minister of Scotland discovered himself, we will always win while democracy lives, won't we? Well, let's get the thoughts of my panel. GB News contributor Will Kingston, political commentator Chloe Dobbs and former Labour Minister Bill Rummel. Bill, what do you make of this rant by Humza Yousaf? Do you think he's right in saying that, you know, these people are far right? I think the word far right is a ridiculous term to describe someone like Elon Musk, don't you?
No, I think he is. I think he is far right. Really? Look. I'm not a supporter of Humza Yousaf in any way, shape, or form, and frankly, a period of silence from him would be very welcome. But in any objective political analysis on the left-right spectrum, Trump and Musk would be on the far populist right. And what really gets me about this, there is frankly a level of hypocrisy about jailing and silencing people. Look at what Trump has done. He says he's in favour of free speech. Well, he's banned journalists from the White House. He's talked about criminalising journalists from CNN. You know, a French scientist, a reputable French scientist, was turned back at the airport because he was discovered with remarks critical of Donald Trump. What kind of country is that? And as for Musk, I mean, I'll be blunt, he's a political nut job who's become too toxic even for the Trump administration. You say there's a 130-day legal limit, Alex.
Yes.
It was very clear Trump wanted to extend that. And he'd made clear he wanted to extend it. He's backed off because the guy is so toxic. All those claims
That is a legal limit, though, Bill. That's the reality. Is he would become a government employee, which he cannot do when he's running those businesses.
Yeah, and Trump wanted to manage that and wanted to keep him in post. And he's not been able to, if the briefings are correct. And he's going to go. Because, you know, those savings you talk about, you know, some of them were standing down scientists working on Ebola and bird flu and nuclear reactors. And he's had to reinstate those people.
Okay.
Independent experts say he's overclaimed the savings by 80%.
OK, all right. OK, Will, what do you make of it all? I mean, you're an anti-tariffs man, but you maybe are pro-Musk?
No, well, I want to pick up what Bill said at the very outset,
sure.
which is the far-right slur. And make no mistake, it is a slur. It's no longer something which describes an ideological position. It is a term used by left-wing people to basically to insinuate that someone is a Nazi. That is what far-right means. If you look at what Elon Musk says and what he does, he supports environmental positions. He's voted Democrat almost all of his life, except the most recent election. He supports a version of capitalism which is centrist. There is nothing to suggest that this man is far-right.
Will, when he was wandering around a stage doing that, what was he doing?
I do think that hand silly thing is very silly.
Ironically, my hand gesture I've just been doing to say that Bill is being ridiculous is actually could be misconstrued, and that's exactly the
that was nothing compared to what Musk was doing.
Here's the thing: he has said it wasn't a Nazi gesture, and that is the start and the end of it. What you think he is a populist, and you put populism and far right together, and that is one of the big problems that the left has today: is that populist positions are now suddenly far right when really they are listening to the people.
Chloe.
Right. Let's get away from technicalities on what exactly Elon Musk was doing with his hand and look at actually what Humza Yousaf has said here, which is the far right are losing, is what he's saying. Now, I'm going to say right rather than far right because I do think that it's silly terminology. The right are not losing at the moment. What he's done is he's picked at a few pieces of bad news and completely ignored the elephant in the room, which is parties on the right doing far better in the polls than parties on the left at the moment. I mean, he completely ignored the fact that the Reform Party have been polling consistently, absolutely brilliantly in the UK. We've now just had a poll out putting the AfD neck and neck in the polls, nearly at the top in Germany. It's not the case that the left are doing well. And what he's done here is really expose the left for who they really are and their tactics. Rather than trying to win with good argument, they think, oh, we'll try and imprison people. With Donald Trump, when he was nearly assassinated, you had all these lefties on TikTok saying, oh, I'm so annoyed the shooter missed. I think that's...
Well, that's disgraceful.
Yeah. Now the arson on all these tests.
But this is Trump who incited people to storm Capitol Hill to overturn a democratic election.
So let me just clarify, because I think this term far right, we've got to pick it out a little bit here, because when I look at the actions that many of the left in this country have, such as blocking ambulances on roads, some activist groups like Just Stop Oil, for example, we've got the pro-Palestine rallies that are causing a lot of public nuisance and shouts for jihad on the streets. And then in America, you've got people vandalising Teslas, people going around and literally
wholly wrong.
But that's, to me, an example of far-right behaviour, but it's demonstrated by the left of politics. So I don't think I would put Donald Trump and Elon Musk in the category of far-right, because when I think of far-right, I think of Nazis. I think of people going around smashing homes, pulling people out on the streets, targeting people of ethnic minorities. I don't believe at all that Trump and Elon Musk can be called far-right.
Well, sorry. Trump not far right. He tried to overturn a democratic election, which every court in the land said that he was wrong about. And yet
communists have tried to do that during history as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I condemn them every bit as much as I condemn Trump. Do you know what? In my experience, the far right and the far left meet each other round the back. And in terms of, opposing free speech, trying to ban things, they're both as bad as each other.
OK. Well, Will, Humza Yousaf tried to tackle child poverty. He said he boosted the NHS. He's got good relations with local councils. Was that a laugh, Bill? No,
that was a cough.
Sorry, just checking.
A Freudian cough.
I will laugh at Humza Yousaf.
Humza Yousaf isn't all that bad. Maybe he's just got very strong political views.
That was a laugh. No, if you look at what is actually the standard of living in Scotland today, obviously that is not the case. And I think the reason why he wasn't able to lift standard of living is apparent in that video. And you heard it when he said, well, Tesla stocks are down 36%, and then a loving wink to the crowd if that is suddenly a good thing. You said it yourself in your monologue. That doesn't mean that Elon Musk is going to go broke. He's got plenty of money. That's not an issue for him. That is an issue for the shareholders in that company, mums and dads everywhere. That is an issue for the thousands of Tesla workers all around the world. If they see that this is just Main Street or Wall Street that's being affected, it's not. It is average people that are affected when those sorts of share prices go down.
Chloe, shouldn't things like the Department of Government Efficiency be, heralded for what they've done? They've taken an axe to bureaucracies. Like I said, the Iraqi Sesame Street, which was worth millions, $25, $30 million. This sort of stuff should never have happened in the first place, should it? And Musk should be at least be thanked for that.
Yeah, I'm so glad to see both in Argentina and now in the US, them as they. Well, Humza Yousaf said they're taking a chainsaw to government spending. Now, Elon Musk, he said, look, we will make mistakes, but when we do, we will fix them. He said he made a mistake on Ebola and that he would fix it. And there will be some things that he makes cuts to that people disagree with. But there are a lot of big things that money was being spent on that is just ridiculous. And I mean, here in the UK as well, some of the ridiculous stuff we spend money on. We've got the Spectator projects against frivolous funding now, revealing some absolutely absurd stuff we're spending money on. We need to go back to the days of politicians feeling like they have a duty to spend taxpayers' money very, very carefully.
Final word to you on this, Bill, because shouldn't I mean, when you look at what Keir Starmer's doing right now, he seems to be pivoting very much towards Trump's sort of rhetoric. He's talking about the end of globalisation today. He's talking about national, bringing back production to the country, protecting British people. That's very Britain first language. He's talking about taking an axe to bureaucracy in the UK. Is he learning from Trump?
No, absolutely not. Look, of course there is a case for really ensuring you're getting value for money from public spending. But I don't know what I can believe and what I can't believe from Elon Musk. This is the man who claimed that USAID had sent 50 million condoms to Gaza. It was completely and utterly untrue. It was a lie. Experts say 80% of his claims are not valid.
OK, well, we're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately. But on a lighter note, because we love giving away more money and cutting back on bureaucracy. But we do it here all the time, don't we? Because it's time for the Great British Giveaway, and it's the biggest prize we've ever given away. It's your chance to drive away with a brand new 4-berth motorhome worth over £67,000. And that is not all. You can't get involved, unfortunately, Will. But we'll also give you £5,000 in cash too. Do you want that chance to be our biggest winner today? Well, here are all the details you're going to need.
Don't miss out on your chance to win our biggest prize package ever, worth over £72,000. You could spend your summer touring the beautiful British Isles and exploring the great outdoors in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. This brand new 2025 model, supplied by our prize partners Marquis Leisure, sleeps 4 people, has its own integrated kitchen and bathroom and a living space that can accommodate up to 5. Plus, we'll also give you a £5,000 cash boost to kit it out and make it the perfect home from home for you and your family. For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck, everybody. But up next, Labour MPs Wan Yang, and apologies if I've butchered that name, by the way, and Abitsam Mohammed have been deported from Israel. Are Israel right by their actions? This is Ben Leo tonight, only on GB News.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new Royal Newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. Well, Labour MPs Wan Yang and Abitsam Mohammed have been deported from Israel after flying there from Lucerne to Israel yesterday. This comes as they are being accused of planning to spread anti-Israel hatred and are suspected of documenting the activities of security forces, with the pair saying they were astounded by their treatment. Meanwhile, Kemi Badenoch says she is not surprised two Labour MPs were denied entry to Israel and said that every country should be able to control its borders. Are Israel right in their actions? Well, we are now joined by broadcaster and commentator Fahima Mohammed and former British Army spokesman Michael Shearer. Thank you both very much for joining me tonight. Fahima, I'll start with you. Is Israel right to have deported these Labour MPs?
Absolutely not. In Britain, we value free speech, democratic representation, and the right to stand up for those without a voice. That's why the deportation of these two elected MPs by Israel is very, very concerning for all of us, and it should be, regardless of our politics. These MPs weren't inciting violence or promoting hate. They were on a peaceful, fact-finding mission to understand humanitarian crisis in the West Bank. Their job, their democratic duty, is to represent their constituents, ask difficult questions, and speak out where they see injustice. That's not propaganda, that's democracy. Deporting them sends them a chilling message that political dissent, especially when its supporters are Palestinians, will be silenced. But here in the UK, we don't criminalise compassion. We don't punish elected officials for using their voice, and we certainly don't let foreign governments decide which British MPs are allowed to carry out their duties. Yes, okay. Israel has a right to protect its borders, just as any other country does, but national security must not be used as a smokescreen for political censorship. If you start equating peaceful observation with terrorism, you're not protecting democracy, you're dismantling it.
OK, Fahima. Mike, great to have you back. Look, Israel said this is a security concern for them, a national security concern. They were suspected perhaps of monitoring activities of security personnel. They were concerned about that, hence why they didn't let them in. Do you think they've got grounds to do that?
Listen, the ICJ, the ICC, and now the Labour government are deploying lawfare to try and undermine a legitimate right for a sovereign country to save its nation from genocide. Let's just remember where this whole debacle started, OK? It started on the 7th of October, 2003. It was attacked by Hamas. If Hamas want this to stop in the greater good for humanity, all they've got to do is lay down their arms and give up the hostages, remove themselves from the horrid dictatorship that they have now over the hold of the Gazan people, and it will stop tomorrow.
OK.
That's how simple it is.
Yeah. Well, Fahima, obviously, Israel are making this security argument. Now, obviously, I'm sure as you agree, every country, I think you said this earlier, actually, every country's got the right to defend its borders. And if there's a national security concern about it, maybe they thought this would be used as propaganda back home to galvanise a pro-Palestine group. Perhaps Israel's got a point?
War doesn't suspend the rule of law or basic rights. It makes them more important. These MPs weren't armed. They weren't coordinating any military groups. They were trying to understand civilian suffering. If that's a threat, then what kind of democracy is being defended? At the end of the day, this is ridiculous. Israel is a close ally, and with that comes the expectation of mutual respect for democratic values, including dialogue with elected officials. If sovereignty justifies silencing peaceful observers, then we have to ask, is that sovereignty or selective authoritarianism?
Well, Fahima, you might argue, for example, that if an anti-Ukrainian person went to Ukraine and was a representative of the government, perhaps, that they might not have such a warm welcome as well, because it goes against the narrative they need to win that war. And of course, Israel to see this as a war and it's wartime, they need to make sure that at least the communications that go out are at least somewhat positive about them. Mike, that's a relatively traditional thought behind how countries operate during times of war, is it not?
Look, here's the thing about warfare. and I've been in it in a number of on a number of occasions. Sometimes mistakes are made. In the heat of battle, there are occasions when things in the fog of war just get mixed up. Now, the Israelis have held their hands up and they fairly much said, got it wrong. And I'm afraid that is a result of warfare. There is no such thing as warfare or soldiering that is not without a process that has friction and failure within it. And that's just what's happened. Look, I say again, if this warfare wants to finish, it's not on the Israelis, it's on Hamas. They need to give it up.
Hamas is not based on the West Bank, and that's where they were headed. We keep talking about certain things, and we're not actually understanding what's actually happening. It is illegal settlement that's actually happening, which international law has called out. Humanitarian law has also been called out.
No illegal settlement.
One at a time, please. One at a time.
On October the 7th either. We are calling out everywhere, whether it's China, Russia, or even the US when they overstep. But the difference is Israel claims to be a beacon of the Middle East democracy. If that's the case, the standards should be higher, not lower.
Go on, Mike, after you.
I would like to give you this. I want everybody to look this up. Uti possidetis juris. This is customary international law. Look it up, please. It means that what has been any nation that has shaken off the yoke of imperialism or many other things, you can name anything that goes with it, means you inherit the ground by which it's leaving. There is only one state that emerged in 1949 when the British mandate finished, and it was the state of Israel. Everybody, wait, just one thing. Everybody, all the Arabs, everybody were given the opportunity to join in. Many Arabs did join in, and they are Israeli Arabs. And I'm afraid those that didn't join in are suffering now from their own belligerence.
Okay, Mike, final words for him.
History there, that's really not correct, because Hamas was not even there until later on, okay? And that was because it was actually embedded and also supported by Netanyahu. Free speech does not end at a border, and democracy doesn't deport dissent. You don't protect democracy by hiding from criticism. You prove it by engaging with it. If security becomes an excuse to shut down opposing views, again, that's not democracy, that's fear.
Okay, both of you, thank you so much. Very fiery debate there. Broadcaster and commentator Fahima Mohammed and former British Army spokesperson Michael Shearer. Thank you, guys. Coming up, though, GB News reveals dozens of skilled worker visas were approved despite breaching legal requirements. This has been Leo Tonight, only on GB News.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. It's much drier across Spain and Portugal as we head into the new working week. There'll be plenty of sunny spells across much of the Med, but the risk of some showers at times too. Madeira's seeing some showers, but plenty of sunny spells too. Much of the dry weather across Spain and Portugal, though 1 or 2 showers are possible. Showers become more frequent from Italy, stretching across to Greece and Turkey. Temperatures a little on the disappointing side for the time of year, and it remains so for the next few days too.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
I do feel that in this case, Harry has a right to privacy because whatever he said in his visa form, which was redacted, they were very, very clear to make it obvious that he did not lie on his visa application, and that is what matters. The rest is personal, and I think I would absolutely hate anything like that of mine. They've clearly felt that his life would not be safe if people came after him, knowing whatever is in that application form. It might be his whereabouts, it might be some, I don't know what it is, and hopefully we'll never know, because I do feel that is private.
Ingrid, I was very struck that you called her Meghan Markle, so you're not calling her Meghan Sussex, as she now prefers to style herself.
I just feel that if you're blessed with having a title, they wanted that title, you must use it properly, because Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, as you know, Andrew, means that she's divorced. So if you have a title, please use it properly.
You're pointing out the scene from the Netflix documentary, for anybody who didn't see it, her lifestyle show, where one of her friends says, "Who thought Meghan Markle eats something?" And she said, that's not my name. My name is Meghan Sussex. Do you think maybe she doesn't understand that's not her name? It's almost like no one's explained it to her.
Well, I think that she has had it explained to her, but I don't think she listens. I feel that she only listens to things that she wants to hear. And she is, I suppose, you know, she is Meghan Sussex, but it's a very unusual way of referring to yourself. She is the Duchess of Sussex.
Yeah.
And thank goodness she's not Princess Harry.
GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. An exclusive by GB News can reveal that dozens of skilled worker visas have been granted by the Home Office despite failing to meet legal requirements. Immigration specialists have since demanded an urgent review of the visas granted by the Home Office. It follows the publication of a National Audit Office report that warned the government did not have the necessary systems in place to stop exploitation of the immigration route. But joining me in my fantastic all-star panel here, GB News contributor Will Kingston, political commentator Chloe Dobbs, and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Bill, look, you've been in government, so you understand the workings of the bureaucracy and you understand the workings of the politics behind that. How do things like this constantly keep happening? You know, we see stories so often if things go wrong inside the bureaucracy of government. You'd think that there's strong legal requirements in place for this. There should be like a red line, shouldn't it?
Well, I was at one stage Foreign Office Minister responsible for entry clearance, which is the processing of the visas. And one of the things I learnt, and one of the flaws in the system, is that the average caseworker overseas spends 10 minutes assessing a form, and you can make mistakes. However, I have to say, this is much ado about nothing. Dozens of cases over 3 years out of 256,000 cases. I think that's 0.002% of cases. I'm the first person who's prepared to bash the Home Office for its incompetence. This is not a scandal.
Right, OK. We've got a guest here, actually, Harjap Singh. We'll welcome him. Now he's an immigration lawyer. Harjap Singh, thank you very much for coming in. We've obviously got our panel here as well, who may want to ask you some questions. However, what's going on here? You know, Harjap, give us some insight with your background as to how this has happened. Why on earth these are slipping through the net? Even in the tens, it's still too many.
OK, well, it's nothing new here. Mistakes are made. And we know the Home Office is incompetent. Bill, your guest, can confirm every year there's a Home Affairs Select Committee report, and they report that the Home Office is not fit for purpose. So what that means is essentially you've got a machinery trying to produce a product which it's not capable of producing. So you're not going to get a good product. At one stage, the Home Office had gap year students deciding applications and claims, and ex-supermarket workers thrown straight into the job at the deep end. Now, not only is that a disservice to the person who's paying for it, because the applicant pays thousands of pounds, sometimes £5,000-6,000 to the Home Office to have their application decided correctly, albeit. And it works both ways. So people who should get a visa don't get a visa, and then they have to go through a lengthy appeal process. But sometimes people who don't qualify do get through. In this case, the numbers aren't that great, and like Bill said, they're minuscule in comparison. That's to be expected. Some sort of leakage is to be expected. But however, there does seem to be recently scandals upon scandals, and this is happening since with a highly skilled migrant program, the X-point system, which used to be a lot of fraud in that, the fake colleges, which were granted licenses in 2010 and 11 to give visas, which some turned out to be above just one room above a factory.
Yeah.
Recently this year, just the care sector, we know the recent care sector scandals. Thousands of workers have been called here to work in the care sector, and the jobs haven't been given to them. And the employers have told them, sorry, you've just taken the money. They've been charged thousands of pounds to get here and left in limbo.
OK, Harjab, look, I mean, part of this could come down to just an ever-bloated bureaucracy. Do we need to have a separate immigration department set up to run these sorts of things? Because we've got millions of people coming here in decades. That's just too much for one department in the Home Office to cope with, surely.
Well, you'd think in any business where every year you've been told, actually, your business is not good, the model's not good, the setup's not good, and you need to really go to a new business model, that they'd make changes in order to correct that. However, instead, not only is the department running incompetently, but the people running it are getting bonuses for running it incompetently. Now, you wouldn't do that if you didn't perform in your job every year and I didn't perform in my job, or any one of your panel didn't perform in their job. We'd be out on our ear. We wouldn't get a bonus for it. So I don't understand in relation to that this Home Office is not fit for purpose. We shouldn't persevere for it. It's like having cracked walls, putting a roof on and expecting it to bear some load. And what we're doing is just what the governments, successive governments, it doesn't matter which one, they're just papering over the cracks and telling everyone, look, with the brand new wall. And we know that there are scandals upon scandals which don't seem to end, regardless. Look at the fake English language tests. We can go on. The fake income requirements. They go on and on. And this year, they haven't even stopped this year. So it's something that the government needs to consider. They can't promise a brilliant product if you haven't got the machinery to produce it. It's quite simple.
Well, thank you so much. Harjab Singh Bangal there, immigration lawyer. Thank you for joining the show. I'll get a quick comment here from Will and Chloe. Will, would you like to go first?
Well, look, I actually agree with Bill's earlier comments, and that is not because I'm on a skilled worker visa and I don't want the Home Office auditing my case particularly closely. It is because the skilled workers, if we are to have some form of immigration in this country, they're the ones who are going to be net contributors to the economy. It is the other immigration which are the net detractors, which we need to crack down on.
OK, Chloe, very quickly from you as well.
I think that my concern is far more the huge numbers of illegal migrants coming across the border than dozens of people who maybe didn't tick the right skills box. I think also another thing that frustrates me about the Home Office is not a few people slipping through the net and the odd mistake, but the fact that they don't seem to be able to control the number of people coming in. Like, oopsie, we accidentally ended up with nearly 1 million migration in a year. I really think there needs to be a cap or something in place.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much, panel, everyone involved in this great discussion. Lots more to talk about on that, I'm sure. But a Home Office spokesperson has said this: sponsoring organisations must meet strict duties and be able to offer genuine vacancies in order to obtain a licence. Where a sponsor fails in those duties or sponsors workers for non-genuine vacancies, we will take action, including revoking their licence. Well, coming up.
Find yourself in this position, don't hang about.
Yeah, violence against women and girls remains a significant concern in the UK. We have the toughest woman in Essex, in my opinion, a lady self-defence instructor, joining us in the studio next. It's going to be brilliant. Stay tuned. This is Ben Leo tonight, only on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, we have high pressure dominating through the rest of today and into next week, bringing plenty of dry and sunny days, but some chilly nights. Taking a look at the bigger picture then, we've got high pressure situated towards the northeast, still a bit of a squeeze in the isobars, but winds will be easing. So through the rest of this evening and overnight, for many of us, we hold on to plenty of clear skies. This will allow temperatures to quickly fall away. We'll see some mist and fog patches in places, especially across Northern Ireland and parts of Scotland. The far north of Scotland holding on to cloudier skies across Orkney and Shetland, but lows reaching down to -3 or possibly -5 in places. So it's going to be a chilly start out there, especially across parts of Scotland with a touch of frost. Cloudy across northern parts, so across Orkney and Shetland. Across Northern Ireland, bright, but we will see some mist and fog patches first thing. They'll gradually lift and clear. And then for much of England and Wales, plenty of sunshine to start Monday morning. And we hold on to that theme throughout much of Monday as well. Many places holding on to dry, sunny skies, still cloudy across Shetland and perhaps into Orkney later. But we'll see lighter winds as well, so they'll be easing, especially along the south coast. Otherwise, still going to be feeling warm in that sunshine, especially out towards the west. We've got highs of up to 16 or 17 degrees and perhaps just feeling a little bit more pleasant down that eastern coast. Through Tuesday, it's a very similar start, so plenty of bright skies out there, but perhaps a little bit chilly first thing. We'll also see some cloud just filtering in further across northern parts of Scotland, perhaps some fair weather cloud across East Anglia. And we'll see a bit more cloud on Wednesday as well for many of us before that clears. Otherwise, plenty of sunshine and turning warmer as we go Thursday and Friday.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. Now, violence against women and girls remains a significant concern in the UK. Between 2018 and 2023, there was a 37% increase in violent crimes against women and girls, with statistics revealing that roughly 1 in 7 individuals aged 16 and over in England and Wales have experienced stalking at some point in their lives. However, many individuals are taking matters into their own hands now to increase confidence for women. One woman, a self-defence instructor, has gone viral online for sharing practical self-defence tips through her videos.
Find yourself in this position, don't hang about. Elbow, 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 phone, knee, run.
I am pleased to say that ladies self-defence instructor Sensei Shell joins myself and Chloe Dobbs now. Thank you so much for coming in. What a sensational video. Well, first of all, I want to say, what inspired you to start getting in to self-defence in the first place?
Well, to be honest, I was at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I was studying jiu-jitsu, doing rather well. And at the time, this is back in the 80s, there were guys teaching self-defence courses. So you've got the Aikido guys doing a great job, you've got the Judo guys doing a great job, Taekwondo guys. They're all doing a great job, but the problem was they were teaching a little bit of Judo, a little bit of Taekwondo. So the Martial Arts Commission looked at all of this and said, well, this isn't really the way, it's not safe. What you're teaching them is not safe.
Right.
It's not all-encompassing. They're not going to be able to learn what you're teaching them in a short course.
Yeah.
Because most women, they don't want to go and learn every week to be chucked around a room.
Yeah.
They just want to say, right, I just want to learn some self-defence and I want to learn it quick.
Absolutely,
So the Martial Arts Commission, all the top guys at the time got together, and we're talking all the Sokies and the professors, and made this course. So it was effective, it could be taught in a short amount of time, and the moves would actually work.
OK, this is really... We've got your daughter, Tabitha, with us. Welcome also here. Of course, Chloe Dobbs as well, a regular face on the show. Now, has your mum taught you anything that you would tell other women about, that they should learn about self-defence at least?
I mean, yeah, she's taught me so much, like, over the years. But mostly it's about being aware, and it's about not always looking at your phone and being aware of your surroundings, and also to use your techniques properly to make sure that you're on target and, you know, using it for maximum efficiency, really.
I don't know if you guys fancy it, but would you like to do a quick demo for us? Is there anything you want to show us? Show the audience how to defend themselves?
I'm going to use Tabitha because you're
go on, then.
frightened.
No, don't do it on me, please. Please.
So, where's the camera this way?
Stand about there. That's perfect. Right. That's perfect. We'll frame you up. Don't you worry about that.
OK. So, when you start off, what I teach is a system. So you start off slow, we build and build and build and build and build. So the first thing, say somebody's coming to grab you, they're coming to grab you. So you're going to block them. You're going to block them with your palm heel and you're going to go here. Now, what you'll learn is, most of the things, it's the smallest thing that makes the biggest difference, that makes these things work. So I'm going to literally go like this. Oh, there she goes, down she goes. But what makes it work is, if I put my thumb here, I haven't got enough leverage to push this.
Right.
If I put my thumbs here, I could go through her fingers and muck this up. So your thumbs go behind her knuckles.
Right.
Now, at this moment in time, I'm dressed like Kim Kardashian with a tiara on. I haven't actually moved. And all I have to do is this. And down she goes. Fantastic. Now, in reality, I'm going to kick her in the groin and smash her on the floor, but for all intents and purposes, we're going to...
For legal reasons, let's not do it in the studio, right? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Fantastic stuff. We've also got Chloe Dobbs here, political commentator Chloe Dobbs. Now, obviously, you're big on your fitness stuff, Chloe, as I know. Have you learnt any self-defence? What did you think about the demo?
I did a self-defence course, and I think every woman should do it. It gives you so much more confidence when you are walking down the street at night. And perfect example there of how a woman does not need to be super strong to be able to get a man off her who is potentially causing some danger. I mean, you know, for example, in the video that we saw from your social media, you're using your elbows. Ladies, you do not need to have big biceps to be able to do some damage to a man who is causing you danger. You've got sharp elbows. Also, man's got a weak point, their groin, right? Yeah. You can cause them damage there. Little things like, also I did a bit of Krav Maga, things like little pinches that make them suddenly jump out of their skin. There's so much that you can do to just give yourself that couple of seconds opportunity to run away. And also things like, for example, you obviously know because you're great with your grappling, you might think, oh, if a man's on top of me and he's way heavier than me, I won't be able to get him off. Well, but you can actually use someone's weight against them to their disadvantage.
Well, I think this is it. So Shel, you know, talking about, you know, men and obviously most violence committed against women is from a man. How do women get over that fear of fighting back? Because that's a big part of it, surely, isn't it? Thinking, that man's too big, I can't fight him back. I'm just going to.
Well, this is the big thing. Yeah. Most of the time, women, we're the smaller, we're weaker, we're this. But once you start empowering women to use what God has given us, you know, use our weapons against. He may be bigger and stronger, but he's got a lot of vulnerable points, as you said. You've just got to know where those vulnerable points are. And once you start teaching women this, you see their faces change. You know, they come in and they're all quite, I can't do it. I mean, for instance, this is how simple it is. You see their faces change. So we've got a big pad. So I'm just going to go here. So you say there's somebody behind you and you're going to elbow him away. So you just do this.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely rubbish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All I'm going to teach you to do is open your hand and now do it. That is so much more powerful. And then, if you're standing up, obviously he's behind you, all you're going to do is drop your centre of gravity and you're going to go like this. Yes! That is so much more powerful.
Wicked.
And when you see these ladies...
This is brilliant.
Hitting, from doing this and feeling how rubbish it is, all I've said is open your hands and bend your knees, and all of a sudden I think, whoa, what else can I learn? What else can I learn? And you can see them. They feel so much better about themselves. Just knowing that there's something you can do rather than like floundering and not knowing anything.
Yeah. How can people find you, by the way? How can they get in touch with you? What can they learn from you? Where can they see you?
Right, now this is down to Tabitha.
Tabitha?
Tabitha knows all this on this TikTok business.
Go on then, Tabitha, tell us.
So we're on social media. We're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and you'll find her at Sensei Shell.
And on my little things, I go, if you want to follow me, what is it? Follow me here.
Follow me.
There you go. That's exactly it. Listen, I think more people should teach themselves self-defence because at the end of the day, you know, we've got a bit of a policing crisis in the country and we need more people to know how to look after themselves.
It's a life skill.
It is indeed. Sensei Shell, Tabitha, Chloe, thank you all so much for coming in. Next up, the NHS is going door to door to tackle the sickness crisis. That's coming up next on Ben Leo Tonight. Don't go anywhere.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed home battery storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, we have high pressure dominating through the rest of today and into next week, bringing plenty of dry and sunny days, but some chilly nights. Taking a look at the bigger picture then, we've got high pressure situated towards the northeast, still a bit of a squeeze in the isobars, but winds will be easing. So through the rest of this evening and overnight, for many of us, we hold on to plenty of clear skies. This will allow temperatures to quickly fall away. We'll see some mist and fog patches in places, especially across Northern Ireland and parts of Scotland. The far north of Scotland holding on to cloudier skies across Orkney and Shetland, but lows reaching down to -3 or possibly -5 in places. So it's going to be a chilly start out there, especially across parts of Scotland with a touch of frost. Cloudy across northern parts, so across Orkney and Shetland. Across Northern Ireland, bright, but we will see some mist and fog patches first thing. They'll gradually lift and clear. And then for much of England and Wales, plenty of sunshine to start Monday morning. And we hold on to that theme throughout much of Monday as well. Many places holding on to dry, sunny skies, still cloudy across Shetland and perhaps into Orkney later. But we'll see lighter winds as well, so they'll be easing, especially along the south coast. Otherwise, still going to be feeling warm in that sunshine, especially out towards the west. We've got highs of up to 16 or 17 degrees and perhaps just feeling a little bit more pleasant down that eastern coast. Through Tuesday, it's a very similar start, so plenty of bright skies out there, but perhaps a little bit chilly first thing. We'll also see some cloud just filtering in further across northern parts of Scotland, perhaps some fair weather cloud across East Anglia. And we'll see a bit more cloud on Wednesday as well for many of us before that clears. Otherwise, plenty of sunshine and turning warmer as we go Thursday and Friday.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed home battery storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody
in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Good evening, I'm Alex Armstrong and this is Ben Leo Tonight. Breaking tonight. On the front page of the Daily Telegraph, Health Secretary Wes Streeting is set to announce a radical new NHS scheme in which an army of health workers will be sent knocking door to door to tackle Britain's sickness crisis. I'm going to bring you all of the details. And an Express exclusive today. They report a forgotten World War II hero has been forced to pay a £5,000 a month in care home fees. And the King and Queen will mark their 20th wedding anniversary as guests of honour at a state banquet held in Rome. It will be part of a 4-day state visit to Italy starting Monday. Yeah, can you see what's going on here? Yeah, joining me this evening, an all-star panel, GB News contributor Will Kingston, political commentator Chloe Dobbs, former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. But first, let's get your headlines with Aaron Armstrong.
Top stories. The Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch is facing cross-party criticism for saying she's not surprised by Israel's decision to deport 2 Labour MPs. Abdissam Mohammed, who represents Sheffield Central, and Yuan Yang, the MP for Earley and Woodley, were deported after being accused of planning to spread anti-Israel hatred. Whereas Badenoch says Israel has a right to control its borders, adding she thinks it's shocking Labour has MPs that other countries don't want to allow in. Well, the Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, has responded. He says her comments were disgraceful. The leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey, says Ms Badenoch has shown unbelievably poor judgment. Well, Lammy has also described Israel's decision as unacceptable. In a joint statement, Ms Yang and Ms Mohammed have said they were astounded at the unprecedented step taken by the Israeli authorities. Sir Keir Starmer has reiterated his disappointment over Donald Trump's new tariffs in further calls with world leaders. The Prime Minister has this evening spoken with his Canadian counterpart Mark Carney. Downing Street says they discussed working together to maintain global economic stability in the wake of Donald Trump's tariffs, and they agreed on the importance of free and open trade between like-minded nations. These pictures of when the pair met last month. Well, earlier, the Prime Minister spoke to the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz as countries around the world consider how they will respond to the new economic environment. Downing Street says they all agreed that, as with defence and security, it is a new era for the global economy. A father and his 10-year-old daughter have been named as the 2 victims of a fire at a caravan site near Skegness. 48-year-old Lee Baker and his 10-year-old daughter Esme from the Nottingham area died after a fire broke out at Golden Beach Holiday Park in Ingomells in the early hours of Saturday morning. And the family say they are utterly devastated. Marine Le Pen's told a rally of her supporters in Paris her criminal conviction for embezzlement was a political decision rather than a legal one. The leader of the right-wing National Rally has been barred from running for office for the next 5 years. It's ruled her out of a presidential election she was tipped to win in 2027. Well, she was convicted last week of siphoning off EU Parliament funds to pay her party. Centre and left-wing groups held counter-protests in Paris. Now, they were demonstrating not only against Ms Le Pen, but also in support of the law being enforced, in support of the judges who made the decision, who have since been subjected to death threats and now require police protection. And a rugby match in France was delayed when a parachutist got caught on the roof of the stadium earlier. It happened ahead of the Champions Cup game between Toulouse and Sale. The parachutist was left dangling for almost half an hour as fans were cleared from the area and workers placed a protective inflatable decoration beneath him. Firefighters eventually made their way up on a mechanised ladder to collect the man in a basket he had been due to deliver the match ball. Toulouse ended up winning the match 38-15. That's it from me. More to come as we go through the evening here on GB News.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. Our first front pages have dropped. Breaking on the Daily Telegraph. Door-to-door NHS health crisis. Streeting backs return of house calls to fix problems driving dependence on the state. He's saying an army of health workers will be sent door-to-door in a radical NHS scheme to tackle Britain's sickness crisis. This is part of plans to fix problems ranging from unemployment to debt and bereavement, driving dependence on the state and risking the NHS going bust. Also on the paper here, we've got elite British car makers to be spared net zero curbs. Are we seeing a big U-turn on net zero? Is that happening now? Also, some really good stories on the bottom here. COVID criminals still dragged to courts. We're going to talk about that one because that's probably a big one. Lamy and Badnoch clash over Israel, and Labour MP accused of staff harassment. And of course, Le Pen invokes Martin Luther King's spirit. Interesting, right? And then on to the Metro. Ally calls for free trade with Europe. Musk's Trump revolt. Here we go. Donald Trump's tycoon ally Elon Musk says there should be no tariffs on goods between the US and Europe, undermining the president's decision to launch a global trade war. Well, it's really... Do you know what? You just cannot know what's going to happen in politics these days, can you? It's all up in the air. We love the chaos. How about we start with this big story here on the Telegraph? Bill, I'd love to get your thoughts on door-to-door NHS to tackle the health crisis. Now, I think we were talking about this earlier. This is all about getting people off of the state, off of the reliance of the NHS. I mean, we've seen welfare budgets being cut. Now, Wes is driving this new health drive, this health crisis kick. What's it all about?
Well, I don't know the detail of it, but I've got some time for it because Wes Streeting is driving it, and I happen to believe he's the best reformer in this government. And there is certainly a view that we need more community medicine. Going back, if you like, to the days of doctors as visiting people at home, you need a shift from acute hospital care to care in the community. And if this can help to actually tackle the huge increase in the number of people struggling with ill health, struggling with disability since the pandemic, then I think this can be part of the way that we fix the NHS.
I'm really supportive of this, by the way, because I don't think we have enough people, enough doctors. I mean, at least in my lifetime, most of my doctors have been completely random people every time. There's no community feel about it.
No relationship.
No relationship, no continuation. Everyone, you've got to repeat the same thing over and over again. Chloe, why didn't the Tories do this?
I think that the Tories were always just firefighting, and I think always running around like headless chickens having political fights, which
fine with themselves.
In most areas, they didn't really get much done. Look, I think that this is a good idea, something to try. Will it work? Will it save us money? I don't know, but let's try and reform the NHS. I think what I like about this is clearly they are starting to make the link between the failures in the NHS and the ballooning bill for unemployment and sickness benefit. They are inextricably linked. People then just signed off on sickness benefit, and then the NHS just leave them to wither away and don't help them. That is a serious issue. And also, at some point, we have got to get away from this firefighting approach in the NHS where you wait until people are on their deathbed to start addressing their issues. So many people are sadly dying who should not be.
Yeah, Will, is this a good move by Wes Streeting? Can we give Labour some credit for this?
Well, you know me, Alex. You know me. I always feel vaguely ill when I see the announcement of a new government program.
If you are feeling a little bit ill, you're going to get a door-to-door NHS doctor.
Everything that's been said, I think, in principle, is correct. But let's not forget the incompetence of this Labor government. I can see community healthcare workers, knocking on the doors of marathon runners as opposed to, people with heart conditions. It will all be in the implementation, this program, and I still have severe doubts as to whether they can implement effectively.
Yeah, so I think this is the key question here, right? So I'm reading this, by the way, so excuse me for my head being down here, but under the model, a community health worker is allocated a patch of 120 homes, typically paying monthly visits to see if help is needed. This is quite a huge operation, right? Just as we've cut NHS England, it's gone, it's axed. Now we're going to have to... I mean, I think this is much better use of money, by the way, but how are we going to manage a huge operation?
Well, we've rightly cut NHS England because it was a huge quango and it was duplicating what the Department for Health and Social Care was doing. But in terms of frontline staff, I hear all the complaints about the NI increases that went through for employers, but that's funded the biggest increase in NHS spending that we've had in a generation, and that, in part, will help to fund this.
Yeah, interesting stuff. All right, well, let's move on slightly to a different story now. We might come back to this one later anyway, but COVID criminals still dragged to courts. This is quite shocking stuff, right? 5 years after the first lockdown, people are still being taken to court for alleged COVID breaches. Can you believe this? I can't believe it. Many have been forced to engage in lengthy court battles to clear their names, according to data analysed by The Telegraph. About 130 people appeared in court for hearings related to alleged COVID breaches in the past 6 months. Now, Chloe, you had a really interesting take on this. What did you tell me just about moments ago?
Well, I mean, the first thing that came to mind was how on earth are people having to go to court 5 years after the first lockdown when let's not forget, not long ago, had Keir Starmer in the news because of his, potential maybe COVID breach with his voice coach. But what did the Met Police say? They said, nope, we won't investigate it, not because he has any special treatment, but because there's a 3-year limit on investigating COVID breaches. So this, to me, seems to suggest maybe Keir Starmer was given some kind of special treatment.
You said that, and I wasn't aware of that, but I think that is the right application of the law. Without my glasses, reading as I can this story, I think these are cases where the people have been disputing it for 5 years. Now, the real question is, why has it taken... So it's not new allegations, it's not new cases. I think there is a 3-year limit. But, why has it taken 5 years to bring a case to court?
Yes, well I mean, taking Chloe's point, of course we can debate the nuances of this, but taking Chloe's point, some people will cry two-tier justice again, won't they?
Yeah, it's taking 5 years because the courts are clogged up with stupid cases like this, social media posts, as opposed to things that matter. I think the thing that really bugs people about these sorts of cases is that we now know that so many of those COVID policies were based off bad science or based off no science at all. So if you were done for, having more than 2 people in your house or, for sitting on a park bench when you shouldn't have been, and we now know that that was scientific bunk, and you're in court disputing something which was based off rubbish science, that surely must eat away at these people who are being dragged through the court system still.
Yeah, I mean, Bill, listen, you're a really common sense bloke. I mean, I know a lot of our viewers go, well, we actually quite like Bill. He's got some good common sense lefty opinions here. This is ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, should the courts just be dropping this nonsense? It's like the social media posts, 2 social media arrests. This is nonsense.
No, I agree. You should not be... It should not take 5 years to bring a case to court. But it's not just COVID. I mean, take the Nicola Sturgeon case in Scotland. It took almost 3 years to find her innocent. What on earth is going on?
A waste of taxpayer money, isn't it? It
and
really
also,
is.
Not even just the cash. Think about mentally what that does to an individual. Living in purgatory, freaking out, wondering, am I going to go to prison? What is going to happen to my life? What's going to happen to my career? For years and years whilst you wait for the courts to process you.
It is supply and demand. We have too many laws in this country, and if you have too many laws, it's going to clog up the courts.
Yeah. What would you do, Will? How would you solve that problem as a libertarian?
Every time you introduce a new law, you need to repeal 10 old ones.
Oh, I quite like that, actually. We do have a big problem with justice in this country. We see the stories far too often of two-tier justice. And even if there is more nuance behind them, the headline does catch something about the issue with our country, and I think we've really got to get to grips with it. There's another story here on the Telegraph, some good stories here. Elite British car makers to be spared net zero curbs, everybody. Elite British car makers will be exempt from net zero rules, so Keir Starmer will announce tomorrow. Aston Martin and McLaren are among the small car manufacturers that will no longer be required to phase out the sale of petrol and diesel vehicles by 2030. Listen, we said it a long time ago. We said these targets are going to be unrealistic, but I can guarantee you we know why. Why is it, Bill? Why are we dropping? Do you know why?
Because we're dealing with the bonkersness of Donald Trump's tariffs.
The tariffs.
And, you know, we are in a wholly new situation. And, you know, the tariffs are a disaster. They are going to increase prices across the board. They're going to stymie economic growth, and they're already crashing the economy. But, you know, I think you can link this with the other story on the front of the Metro, where allegedly Elon Musk is actually going against Donald Trump over tariffs. And I don't think it's inconceivable. I mean, you know, Trump takes notice of nobody, but I actually think he's quite interested in what happens in the markets. And the market movement in the last week is massive and unprecedented. Well, yeah. I think it's not inconceivable, and there's another story about today saying that someone in the administration is saying 50 countries want to talk about trade. It's not inconceivable that he turns around, looking at the carnage he's creating, and says, do you know what? I'm going to find reasons to back off this.
I mean, look, so we know that Trump has forced Keir Starmer's hand here with net zero, essentially, hasn't he? I mean, many of us might argue this is a victory and that maybe we need tariffs more often, because if we're going to get rid of ridiculous things like net zero in order to save common sense, you know, maybe we should have more tariffs, Chloe?
I don't think that we should have more tariffs, but I think that in some ways, Trump he's very good at getting other countries to do what he wants. Whether he specifically wanted the Brits to get rid of their net zero policies, I don't know, but he seems to have forced Starmer to do something possibly good here. I do think that the tariffs on the car manufacturing will hurt us.
They will.
How much
they will.
It will definitely hurt the car industry a lot. How much it will hurt the overall economy, I don't know. But I mean, on other things like free speech, I'm really hoping that Trump and JD Vance are going to be able to put enough pressure on the UK that we will maybe end up with a little sliver more of free speech in this country.
Interesting. There's massive hypocrisy from Trump. You know, I was saying it earlier. He's banning journalists from the White House. He's criminalising journalists at CNN. You know, he's turning people back at the border because they've dared to criticise him. He's not in favour of free speech.
OK, well, let's stick to this story for now, because I do want to talk about the Musk's change of heart on tariffs. But Will, I mean, look, this is a victory for common sense, regardless of what you think about the tariffs. Does it just prove this net zero target was nonsense in the first place?
Well, what it proves is the hollowness of the eco-zealot movement more generally. You know, carbon matters, but it doesn't seem to matter if it comes out of the back of an Aston Martin. You know, you either think that this is the great moral challenge of our time and you put all your resources into solving for that challenge, or you believe in economic growth. But these sorts of carve-outs just seem to suggest that, well, we care about it, but at the same time, we don't care about it that much. And when the left have made this the great moral imperative, these sorts of stories basically say...
Politics is the language of priorities. And when you have a blunderbuss like tariffs coming down the road, you have to deprioritise some other things.
The annoying thing about the next 3 years now is the UK economy is a basket case. It's been a basket case now for some time, and the left are just going to keep saying tariffs to say that that is the excuse for all of our economic woes.
But Will, you agree tariffs are a disaster?
I agree they're wrong.
Calm it. Because after the break, I want to ask Bill where he thinks if Ed Miliband can survive now, because I think this is another nail in the coffin for potentially for his time in office. But anyway, time for the great British giveaway, and it's a gas guzzler. It's a gas guzzler. Huzzah! It's the biggest prize ever given away. It's your chance to drive away with a brand new 4-berth gas guzzling motorhome worth over £67,000, and that's not all, because we're also going to give you £5,000 in cash too. Do you want to win our biggest prize to date? Here's all the details you need.
Don't miss out on your chance to win our biggest prize package ever, worth over £72,000. You could spend your summer touring the beautiful British Isles and exploring the great outdoors in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. This brand new 2025 model, supplied by our prize partners Marquis Leisure, sleeps 4 people, has its own integrated kitchen and bathroom and a living space that can accommodate up to 5. Plus, we'll also give you a £5,000 cash boost to kit it out to make it the perfect home from home for you and your family. For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm in a little bit of trouble, everybody. I'm in a little bit of trouble here. My producers told me it's not a gas-guzzling vehicle. It's a 2025 vehicle, so it's very, very efficient, all right? Coming up, though, the King and Queen will mark their 20th wedding anniversary as guests of honour at a state banquet held in Rome. Charlotte Griffiths, fantastic, by the way, joins me next. This is Ben Leo tonight, only on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
If you've read Spare, you'll know that Prince Harry's very open, isn't he, about his drug taking in the past. So it's going to be interesting to see if he was honest in his visa application.
Well, we're absolutely waiting for it. Yes, he admitted he took cannabis, cocaine and magic mushrooms, as we know in Spare, and also the Netflix series. He said that. There's been so much talk about it, and obviously Judge Carl Nichols originally said he refused to release any footage, saying that he basically because of Prince Harry's privacy. But as we know, Trump, border security and application of rule is one of his priorities. And I do see Harry as a pawn, really, for Trump and collateral. So everyone's waiting to see what happens. Tuesday is the day, D-Day. We don't know whether Prince Harry is quaking in his boots. But, you know, he quit being a working royal. Well, did he get preferential treatment? We don't know. There is possible misconduct. Apparently, DHS says that actually releasing the paperwork won't shed any light onto how things work. But there are thoughts as well that he could have entered on a special visa. Now, this is an A1 visa that deals with immigration paperwork. And it's a special kind of visa for heads of states and royal people. So Prince Harry could have got through on that, but we're waiting to hear. It's D-Day tomorrow.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Yes, welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. The King and Queen will mark their 20th wedding anniversary as guests of honour at a state banquet held in Rome. How wonderful. It will be part of a 4-day state visit to Italy starting on Monday. The couple married in 2005, of course, in a civil ceremony in Windsor. OK, now I'm joined by Charlotte Griffiths, editor-at-large on the Mail on Sunday. Charlotte, thank you so much for joining me tonight. What a momentous occasion, a wonderful time to spend their wedding anniversary in Italy, of all places. What can you tell us that's going on there?
Well, I can tell you it won't be as romantic as it sounds, I'm afraid, because the King will not stop working and he's doing 17 engagements altogether. There's one day they were going to spend in Rome originally, has now been spread out into 2 days. I'm hoping that's because he wants to sort of build in some time to enjoy his wedding anniversary with Camilla. So while he's there, he's going to be celebrating his wedding anniversary on the 9th. And yeah, it's a long time to be together, 20 years. But Camilla is very frustrated with him at the moment because he won't slow down. He keeps working.
He's a workhorse of a king, which, I mean, I guess he probably wants because he took that time off, obviously, after his cancer diagnosis, and now he obviously, you know, he's not a young man, is he, at the end of the day? He must understand that his reign won't be as long as his mother's. Obviously, it's quite obvious that's not going to be the case, but he wants to get things done. Do you think that she's being a little unfair to him? Maybe you should give him a break?
I think she understands. That's the thing about Camilla. She knows him so well, doesn't she? And he did spend one entire weekend in Highgrove resting, which for him is an awful lot of time. I think she puts the pressure on and she talks about it a lot in public, and she knows that doctors' advice is to rest a bit, but she does understand. And it's quite interesting this week because she had an event for the Queen's Reading Room, which he wasn't obliged to be at but decided to attend. So it's not like she was blocking him from attending, saying, absolutely don't come to my event, you must put your slippers on. So they obviously have that kind of jocular dynamic where she teases him for working too hard, but actually lets him do what he needs to do, which is what he really wants to do, is be seen as much as possible while he's still with us. And he did say that himself at his coronation. He said, you know, as many years as I've got left. Yes. And obviously when you get a cancer diagnosis, you just don't know how long that's going to be. So he's just maxing out his screen time, as it were. You know, he wants to be filmed and seen and pictured so that he can go down in history, you know.
What sort of things will they get up to in this state visit, Charlotte? Because, I mean, I don't know how a state visit would go normally, especially in Italy. It's not obviously not a royal place. It won't be that sort of meeting of royals. But what sort of stuff will they discuss?
Well, one thing they won't be doing is seeing the Pope, because he actually is getting rest, because obviously he's been ill as well. So that the Vatican has been cancelled. But they're doing these 17 engagements. They're a mixture of sort of soft diplomacy and public events. And I think there's one black tie event, but they've decided that, you know, because they won't be wearing sort of any jewellery or tiaras or anything like that. And, you know, he'll be on his feet a lot, just like he is in the UK. He's constantly shaking hands and on his feet. And he did a few investitures this week, and he awarded Alan Titchmarsh. And it looks kind of easy when you see pictures of it, but in reality, he's standing on his feet for hours on end. And this is a man who's having weekly cancer treatment. I think it'll be more of the same in Rome, but even more complicated because they're abroad and they've got their whole team with them.
Quite right. Well, I hope they have a fantastic time. I know the weather's looking much better here than it is in Italy, so that's a good news for us at least. Let's talk about Prince Harry. What have you got for us on Prince Harry, Charlotte?
Oh, well, Prince Harry, well, the Mail on Sunday has got an amazing exclusive, which is quite simply that Meghan didn't like Sophie Chandauka. And in a way, it kind of makes sense, but it just needed a top insider, which Ian Gallagher and Katie Hine from the Mail on Sunday found, to say kind of what we, I suppose, could have guessed, which is that these two women who are very powerful, very influential, very intelligent, you know, just didn't really get on, and that's what's caused, or that's part of what's caused this huge rift at Centre Barley. And it seems to be down to something, again, so petty. You find this often with the Sussexes. It's the beginning sort of moment of a huge row can be something really small. And apparently what happened was Meghan arrived at the polo match in Florida last year. And Sophie said hello, warmly greeted her, and wanted to show her around and introduce her to everyone. And Meghan said hi, but didn't say anything, you know, more elaborate than hi. And this caused great offence. I mean, it's like being at school, isn't it? And so she only said hi, went down very badly. Then she went off into a tent with Serena Williams, according to this report, to drink champagne. And this really upset Sophie. And then there was that led on to what we've all seen since, which was this moment where Meghan tried to manoeuvre Sophie out of the way into a different position during a photo.
Yeah.
But Harry has said that this, a lot of what Sophie said is, to quote him, blatant lies. So it's really, the war of words is on with these lot.
So this centre Barley thing, do we think this is going away? And this is big trouble for Harry and Meghan, because Meghan's obviously launched this big new brand, and I know she's issued this apology recently as well over her jam, I believe, Charlotte. I'm not quite sure about the details of this jam apology, but this is damaging for her as well. While she's launching this big brand, she's getting this negative press, particularly the spillover from Harry. Perhaps there's already a lot of trouble between them in terms of the press, at least. Is it going to go away?
I mean, they've had a professional separation, so she doesn't really like to be linked with Harry professionally. And this week she did an Instagram post praising all the men in her life that had helped her through her journey, but omitted Harry from that praise. And she's launching a podcast next week, and she'll really want this to go away. And it's almost like she is trying to distance herself from her own husband, and of course the Centre Barley row, but she can't really avoid it, because frankly Sophie Chandalka has just placed her right in the middle, and these unhelpful sources close to the charity are releasing details of Meghan's behaviour behind the scenes. But it's so difficult for Meghan, because her entire brand is tied up with being a duchess, with being the wife of Harry. I mean, let's face it, that's why she's famous.
Yeah.
And yet she's professionally trying to push him away so that she can escape all this drama and launch her podcast without any negative attention next week. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be more of the same. And I think this is going to rumble on for weeks.
Well, of course, Harry has declined to talk about those specific allegations, as far as I understand. But anyway, look, Charlotte, fascinating stuff. Fascinating. Thank you so much for joining us. Charlotte Griffiths, editor-at-large and Mail on Sunday. Thank you. I've got some more of your front pages breaking right now. Let's start with the I, shall we? Build British. Starmer to ease petrol car ban in race to shield UK from trade war. Yeah, we were just talking about that moments ago. Prime Minister will announced that he's relaxing the ban on new petrol cars after 2030 to allow hybrids to remain on sale for another 5 years in an attempt to boost the automotive industry. The Guardian. Labour will support key industries hit by tariffs. They've also got a sub-story here. IDF raised Gaza border land to create kill zone. And, of course, they're also very bottom there talking about those angry Labour MPs who've been deported from Israel. The Times. They are leading with green rules relaxed to protect UK car industry. Hey, who would have thought it, eh? Splits over war in Gaza on the right of the column there, a national security risk. The Daily Mail, I'll just read it out. We don't have a picture for you right now, but I'll read it out to you. 9 out of 10 GPs call for NHS prostate screening programme. Hundreds of lives would be saved by initial targeting of men at high risk, say experts. I want to get back to what I promised you before our break, which is to ask Bill Rammell if, due to the tariffs and the end of net zero, if Ed Miliband's going to keep his job. Bill.
Well, I should declare I'm not Ed's... He's a nice guy, but I'm not his greatest fan. He never should have been leader of the Labour Party. And had he not been, and had his brother beaten him, I think the history books would have been very different. I do believe that you have to tackle climate change, but you have to take people with you. And I think Ed is he comes across as too ideological on the issue and doesn't sufficiently take people with him.
It's part of being in government is being pragmatic about the times that you're living.
Well, and persuading people. So I think Ed could be vulnerable at the reshuffle that's to come in the summer.
Yes. Yeah. What do you guys think? Is it time up for Ed Miliband? Has he had his time?
I think that he will actually hang on, because we've now had, much to the Tories' happiness, a Labour list have now started a popularity ranking of the cabinet, and you realise that there's quite a disunity between popularity amongst MPs and then the cabinet versus the Labour membership. And you see people like Ed Miliband, Angela Rayner, Lisa Nandy doing fantastic in those polls, whereas people like Rachel Reeves Yousaf and Keir Starmer dwindling at the bottom. So it would make it...
okay.
It definitely gives them a sense of empowerment, I think, in the cabinet, and will make it difficult for Keir Starmer to sack people like Ed Miliband or Angela Rayner.
Well, I just think, I don't think Ed's much of a threat, unfortunately. He has been Labour leader, and that sort of plays against him in my opinion, Bill, plays against him, Will, because he's had his shot and he's missed it, so this will be the last big job, I think, if he gets chucked out. Will, what's your take?
Yeah,
over for Ed?
I hope so. I think he is the dictionary definition of a zealot, but this is bigger than personnel. This goes to the fundamental tension in this Labor government, which is that they say they believe in economic growth and they have too many policies which are anti-growth, and net zero is on its face an anti-growth policy. They need to either stand by their rhetoric, or alternatively, they just need to be honest with the people and say we believe in redistribution and, eco activism.
I do agree with you. But I do think government needs to be pragmatic when it's in power, and that's one of the big failings, I think, of the first 6 months of Labour, was that they didn't respond to the public very well, and they had poor communication. I think this is better. They're responding to the times at large. But look, listen, anyway, we've got to move on, because we're going to come to a break and we're going to talk about the Daily Mail headline that's just dropped as well. We'll have that for you. Coming up, though, what is going on here? Yeah, we'll find out next. This is Ben Leo Tonight, only on GB News.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. It's much drier across Spain and Portugal as we head into the new working week. There'll be plenty of sunny spells across much of the Med, but the risk of some showers at times too. Madeire's seeing some showers, but plenty of sunny spells too. Much of the dry weather across Spain and Portugal, though 1 or 2 showers are possible. Showers become more frequent from Italy, stretching across to Greece and Turkey. Temperatures a little on the disappointing side for the time of year, and it remains so for the next few days too.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Now, how fierce is the competition to become Lord Sugar's next business partner? Well, our final guest today has been in the throes of that competition.
Goodness me, yes. Liam Snellen is taking part in the current series of The Apprentice, and he worked as an electrician for 10 years, and now he's turning his hand to making comfortable yet fashionable workwear. So there you go.
Well, I just want to ask what it's like to be a contestant on The Apprentice, having been a fan of the show for years prior. Is it a bit weird?
Yeah, do you know what? I wouldn't say it's weird. I feel like you can manifest anything in life, and over 10 years ago I said that I wanted to be on the show with no real business at the time and not knowing how I was going to do it. But as I said, I manifested it, and I'm here and on the show.
You manifested it? How did you manifest it then? Go on.
Well, you just need to vision that something has already happened, you just haven't attained it yet, so you just need to attain the frequency to achieve that thing, and that's obviously what I've done, and it's my time.
Liam, are you still on the show?
I am still on the show.
Make it?
So, well, you have to wait and see. You have to wait and see. Obviously,
could be the winner.
Yeah, could be. So we had a little bit of banter about a hot sauce. I was licking a plate, which was a bit embarrassing. So we was doing an advertisement for our hot sauce brand. We didn't actually have the bottle, so we needed to sort of think on our feet and make an advert without having the product.
How long are you in the boardroom? Obviously, it has to be sliced down to an hour, but you must be in there for a long time, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So obviously, you're in there a lot longer than what it shows. It's such a small part of the show when really you're in there for up to a couple of hours. So it's a really intense period. They definitely go into all of the task and the good things and the bad things that happened, and then obviously the key highlights get shown to the public.
The People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Ben Leo, tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. Let's go back to those front pages. Let's start with the Daily Telegraph, shall we? Door-to-door NHS to tackle health crisis. This is Wes Streeting's latest policy. Let's move on to the Metro. Musk's Trump tariff revolt. Yes, this is Elon Musk breaking ranks with Donald Trump on tariffs, saying there should be no tariffs between the EU and America. The Eye. Build British. Starmer to ease petrol car ban in race to shield UK from trade war. That is a big one, that one. Prime Minister will announce that he's relaxing the ban on new petrol cars after 2030. The Guardian. Labour will support key industries hit by tariffs. Big one, we might touch on that in short times. The Times, green rules relaxed to protect UK industry. Again, everywhere this story. Huge story. The Times over there. Daily Mail, 9 out of 10 GPs call for NHS prostate screening programme. Hundreds of lives would be saved by initial targeting of men at high risk, say experts. So we're definitely going to talk about that one. And of course, we have the Daily Express at the end here. Victory for Express campaign is number 10 agrees to fund veterans' travel. Our heroes will get help to pay respects to fallen comrades. Fantastic stuff. Look, I want to talk about this Daily Mail headline here because this is pretty big. Not only is it attached to what we were talking about with King Charles, but it's also attached to that door-knocking story where Wes Streeting's got a new policy. He's going to have local doctors going around in patches across the land. But again, bring up that Daily Mail headline here. 9 out of 10 GPs call for NHS prostate screening programme. Bill, you said to me you got some personal experience with...
Yeah, some personal insight. So I'm 65, went for my annual GP checkup recently, and I said, look, I haven't had a prostate test for 15 years. I think I ought to have one. And it was driven partly, a friend of mine has now got prostate cancer. And the GP tried to talk me out of the test. He basically said there's too many false positives, too many false negatives, and because of that, there's not a national screening programme. To which I then found out, and I am now going to have the test, I then found out that if there's any question mark with what's called the PSI test, I think it's called, you then go for an MRI scan, which is 99.9% accurate.
Well, there you go.
So it's a no-brainer. This is one of the biggest avoidable killers of older men, and there ought to be a national screening programme.
I completely agree. I don't think there'll be many people that disagree. This is exactly preventative care is the most important care we can do because that is what saves us all this money on the NHS, which is the costly illnesses that follow having preventative care. Chloe, what do you make of all these health stories? Obviously, there's a lot of connection here. Do you think the King has had given his speaking out about his story, had a massive impact on talking about prostate cancer?
Yeah, I mean, potentially the King has helped drive this slightly, and I think just men in general are talking about this more openly. I think, as I said earlier, we need to get away from this world we're living in now where the NHS has to wait until people are on their deathbed before they treat them. It is absolutely terrifying if you look at some of the stats comparing if you took the cancer patients that we have in the UK and put them into like X, Y and Z other country, how many more people would survive. You realise, wow, so many people are dying that should not be. So I think anything that we can do where we move to figuring out that things are wrong at an early stage is fantastic. Yeah,
cancer is such a big killer in this country, Will, and I genuinely believe the NHS needs to do more preventative work on this. Is this a good use of taxpayers' money to be rolling out things like what Wes Streeting's talking about, the door-to-door knocking, the cancer? Perhaps this maybe he takes on board this campaign alongside that to do them at home, so there's more access for people who are worried about about going into doctors? Is this what we need to be spending money on?
Yeah, I think there's a business case there, because if you get the prevention right, I'm assuming that you spend a lot less money on the treatment down the line. So I think that's fine. The other interesting thing which came out of, Bill, your comments, and I think they may have been off air actually, is that you were motivated to get a test because of a personal experience that you've had with a friend and prostate cancer. And so I think the thing we need to remember is it isn't just up to the government to raise awareness on these sorts of things. In fact, it's much more powerful when it's one bloke saying to another bloke, mate, go get a test. Yeah. And I think that's the thing which we need to also really encourage.
I also want to give you an opportunity, Will, because I think this is really important, to say the King's done a good job on this one, has he not?
By getting prostate cancer?
What? Oh my God! You know what? Just turn the cameras off right now. No, you know what I mean. He's talked about it openly. This is not what the Royals do.
If you bring convicts onto this programme, what do you expect?
Well, exactly.
Welcome to live TV.
The King has done a good job on this.
There we go. Okay. I knew I produced this to remind me what's going on. That has completely thrown me off. Yes, we're going over to a final clip. Something that has caught my eye today. Here is a dramatic moment as a small aircraft makes an emergency landing on a Brazilian motorway between passing cars and lorries after suffering engine failure. Let's take a look.
Meu, pousou ainda, cara. Caralho, meu Deus do céu, cara. Que bicho desgraçado. Meu Deus. Calma. Nossa, que bicho.
Oh, what a close. That is incredible art. I mean, to land a plane like that. Do any of you on this panel think you could land a plane like that?
No.
That's far bigger than you can fly.
No.
No, but interestingly...
Would you like to be on a plane trying to make a landing like that?
Do you know, when I was at the Ministry of Defence, I crashed a flight simulator, so I'm not going there.
Well, I mean, what would you do if you were driving on the motorway when you saw that plane? You would just swerve completely out of the way?
Yep, swerving out of the way.
Flight or fright syndrome just comes straight in. I actually saw that you have all these like house reviews on Instagram of like the wackiest houses, and I saw one today. There's a house on sale in Hull for 250 grand, and one of the rooms upstairs is a full flight simulator. Look, it's the full cockpit, every single thing.
That is incredible.
Every button, so you can learn there how to land a plane on
a plane there. You never know when you might need it, clearly.
Exactly.
I mean, the M25 is busy enough as it is. So, I mean, like, for me, it's quite weird because I live over the flight path for Heathrow, so I constantly have these weird dreams that a plane is going to just land in my back garden, or hopefully not my flat, because that would be pretty momentous. But it was a really nice day when I mean, I'm sure it was a horrible day for many people. When the plane stopped flying for a little while to Heathrow, I had a fantastic summer's day in my garden. It was wonderful.
But don't you blank it out? I live over the flight path to Stansted, and I can't hear them because you get so used to them.
I used to live next to a church, and all through the night there's a really loud, like, ding-dong. After, like, a month of living there, do not even hear it.
Yes. OK, coming up, we're going to continue going through the front pages and an Express exclusive today. They report a forgotten World War II hero who's 99 years old, who's been forced to pay £5 grand a month in care home fees. This has been Leo Tonight, only on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, we have high pressure dominating through the rest of today and into next week, bringing plenty of dry and sunny days, but some chilly nights. Taking a look at the bigger picture then, we've got high pressure situated towards the northeast, still a bit of a squeeze in the isobars, but winds will be easing. So through the rest of this evening and overnight, for many of us, we hold on to plenty of clear skies. This will allow temperatures to quickly fall away. We'll see some mist and fog patches in places, especially across Northern Ireland and parts of Scotland. The far north of Scotland holding on to cloudier skies across Orkney and Shetland, but lows reaching down to -3 or possibly -5 in places. So it's going to be a chilly start out there, especially across parts of Scotland with a touch of frost. Cloudy across northern parts, so across Orkney and Shetland. Across Northern Ireland, bright, but we will see some mist and fog patches first thing. They'll gradually lift and clear. And then for much of England and Wales, plenty of sunshine to start Monday morning. And we hold on to that theme throughout much of Monday as well. Many places holding on to dry, sunny skies, still cloudy across Shetland and perhaps into Orkney later, but we'll see lighter winds as well, so they'll be easing, especially along the south coast. Otherwise, still going to be feeling warm in that sunshine, especially out towards the west. We've got highs of up to 16 or 17 degrees and perhaps just feeling a little bit more pleasant down that eastern coast. Through Tuesday, it's a very similar start, so plenty of bright skies out there, but perhaps a little bit chilly first thing. We'll also see some cloud just filtering in further across northern parts of Scotland, perhaps some fair weather cloud across East Anglia. And we'll see a bit more cloud on Wednesday as well for many of us before that clears. Otherwise, plenty of sunshine and turning warmer as we go Thursday and Friday.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Headliners on GB News, 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. Let's return to the front page of the Express. So, Victory for Express campaign as Number 10 agrees to fund Veterans Travel. Our heroes will get help to pay respects to fallen comrades. All British Second World War heroes will be able to honour fallen comrades at VE Day events after PM Sir Keir Starmer vowed to fund their travel, bed and board. This is fantastic. This is just absolutely brilliant news. You know, this should have always been the case, by the way. Our veterans should always have been able to pay respects for our Memorial Days paid for by us. I don't think any taxpayer would worry about their taxpayer money being spent for our great heroes. There's another story I want to wrap into this into a second, but I think this is a great victory for common sense, isn't it, Bill?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, you know, tragically, the World War II veterans are not going to be with us, those that are left for very much longer. Yeah. And I think there's a real loss to society to lose that memory link. So we should celebrate them, and of course we should pay for them to go to France to...
Yeah. But I think that raises a really interesting question of how do we maintain that memory link in future years. I think you can already see in younger generations that is being lost to an extent. I think the memories of the First and Second World War have been so critical both for this country's national identity, for Australia's national identity, and when you start to lose that memory link, you then start to lose that sense of national identity. So you need to work out how to keep that.
Well, I mean, a lack of patriotism in the young generation is one reason why young people are not that interested in looking at what veterans have done for this country. But another thing is, I've spent a bit of time in the US, and one thing I noticed there is that veterans, they're spoken about all the time, they're treated like royalty. You go to any event, it doesn't have to be veteran related, you could be at a sports event or whatever it is, and they'll say, oh, and we're all going to take a moment to honour our veterans. Everywhere you go, it's, you know, veterans discounts everywhere. They are celebrated and talked about. People will respect you when you're walking down the street if they can see that you're a veteran, whereas here you just don't see the same celebration. I think it's a shame because they've sacrificed so much for us.
Well, I think that brings us on to, unfortunately, a bit of a negative story on our veterans, because another Express exclusive today, and they're reporting a forgotten World War II hero who's 99 years old. He's forced to pay $5,000 a month in care home fees. This is shocking stuff. Our veterans, particularly those who served us in World War II, but all veterans, mostly in my opinion, should be treated exceptionally well by the state. They have made the ultimate sacrifice. Many of their friends have, many of them who've sacrificed their lives in World War II, and those who survived deserve to have the best of Britain. This story shocked me, Bill. How do we get to this point where a 99-year-old veteran of World War II is paying £5,000 a month in care home fees? Is it our broken social care system?
Well, it is about social care. Look, I've got the greatest sympathy for him and his family, but this is much, much wider than the veterans. And for 35 years, successive governments have flunked the challenge of long-term care. Now, this government has established an independent care commission led by Louise Casey, who I worked with in government. She's a real reformer, but this will need cross-party consensus to land. And personally, I think the solution, when you bear in mind 1 in 4 over 65s will end up in long-term care. You collectivise the risk, and I think you should have a 10% levy on your estate when you die to guarantee free personal and nursing care.
Just on that, though, why is the solution set up another quango as opposed to thinking through a policy as a government and then putting it to the people?
Because you need cross-party consensus. If you go back to the run-up to the 2010 general election, where Andy Burnham was doing some really good stuff on long-term care and the Tories campaigned against him, calling it a death tax. 2017, Theresa May came up with some sensible proposals. The Labour Party attacked it, calling it a dementia tax. This is too important for party politics. And what Louise Casey's got to do is bring the parties together to get a consensus and make the change.
OK, I want to bring it... Look, I want to end tonight on a high, because it's my last time doing Ben Leo tonight. I'm back to the Saturday 5 next weekend. It's my last time doing this, and I want to end it on a positive note. So let's go back to that Daily Express headline here. Our heroes will get the help to pay respects to fallen comrades. This is a victory, isn't it? Let's help this other hero as well, perhaps, Chloe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that helping people to go and, you know, pay their respects and whatnot, I think is fantastic. I think it's probably going to cost them a tiny amount of money in the grand scheme of things. I think we do need to do a bit more to help our veterans. I'm not saying we should splash an insane amount of cash. Money is very tight at the moment, but I think we could do a little bit more.
Yeah, listen, I think this would be a massive victory for Keir Starmer if he gets behind that poor veteran who's been, 99, been forgotten about. He's paying those care home moves. If he can figure out how to help that man, this will be a huge success for the Labour Party and others that may be in the same situation as him too. But anyway, coming up next, it's Headliners, presented by Leo Curse. Leo, what have you got coming up on the show tonight?
We've got Simon Evans and Kerry Marks on the show tonight, and we're going to be covering the story of the nurse, the NHS nurse, who was treating a convicted male paedophile and referred to him as Mr. when she described him to a doctor. And he, the paedophile, then called her the N-word. Who do you think got in trouble? The nurse has been suspended. It's absolutely insane. Also, some good Brexit news. We're getting lower tariffs because of Brexit, apparently. So that's something for the Remainers to put in their pipe and smoke.
That's some shocking stuff there, Leo. I mean, honestly, I'm always surprised by the news every day now. Thank you very much, Leo. We're looking forward to Headliners after this. All of you know this is my last Ben Leo tonight for a while. Ben's back next weekend. Thank you to the fantastic panel, Will, Chloe, Bill. Thank you all very much. And, of course, thank you to the brilliant production team here at GB News who've been keeping me going on this show, Mel and Connor and everyone else in the gallery. I'll be back on the Saturday 5 next weekend, of course. That's all from me. Enjoy Headliners, and we'll see you again soon.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, we have high pressure dominating through the rest of today and into next week, bringing plenty of dry and sunny days, but some chilly nights. Taking a look at the bigger picture then, we've got high pressure situated towards the northeast, still a bit of a squeeze in the isobars, but winds will be easing. So through the rest of this evening and overnight, for many of us, we hold on to plenty of clear skies. This will allow temperatures to quickly fall away. We'll see some mist and fog patches in places, especially across Northern Ireland and parts of Scotland. The far north of Scotland holding on to cloudier skies across Orkney and Shetland, but lows reaching down to -3 or possibly -5 in places. So it's going to be a chilly start out there, especially across parts of Scotland with a touch of frost. Cloudy across northern parts, so Orkney and Shetland. Across Northern Ireland, bright, but we will see some mist and fog patches first thing. They'll gradually lift and clear. And then for much of England and Wales, plenty of sunshine to start Monday morning.